live. Great. Hi. I see some people are here. I'm just going to wait a minute or so to see if anybody else is going to turn up, and then we will get started. I think the lighting is good. Hopefully everybody can hear me. If you can hear me, you can use the chat box to let me know. Let's see. We'll get started in just a moment. Oh, hi, Amber. Hi. Oh my gosh. Okay, good. You can hear me. Look, there are people and they're talking to me. Wow, I've never done this before, so I apologize if if I'm a little bit loopy, but I'm a little nervous. I'm just gonna pretend you guys are my writing group, and because I read to them all the time, so this is gonna be fine. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and get started. The Rip in the Sky. Okay. Lexi Wexford stood alone in the dark. Not night dark. Nothing dark. No stars, no sky, no ground, no her. She looked down but couldn't see her feet. Reached for her arms and found only cold air. Her voice silenced like a match. Hello? A sound behind her, barely a whisper. Lex. She spun around. Dad? The darkness dimmed in front of her, like stage lights coming up, and with it, something pressing in. A heartbeat that wasn't hers, a breath that didn't belong. Where are you? She called, panic sharpening her voice. Then a shape, just beyond reach, just out of sight. A man. A brown leather vest she recognized, the scent of pine sap and fresh air. Daddy! She ran, but her legs didn't move. Her scream caught like a splinter in her throat. The man turned. His face was lost to shadow. His voice wasn't. Why didn't you come sooner? I didn't know. A growl began. Deep. Low. Wrong. She looked around. Something was rising from the black. A mouth? A snarl? It smelled like rotten ash. Her father's voice cut through it, frantic and far away. Lexi, look out! Lexi jolted awake, heart thudding like a drum. For a few dizzy seconds, her eyes searched the darkness, half sure that growl would follow her into the real world. But the room was calm, still, safe. Beside her on the pillow, her best friend, a garden pixie, slumbered on, her arms tucked in tight, gossamer wings fluttering gently. It must have all been a dream, because Tala had a sixth sense when it came to danger. Lexi took a deep breath and started to lie back, but froze. What was that noise? Maybe noise wasn't the right word. It was more like a swelling in her ears, like a crackle of energy before a lightning strike. Lexi slipped out of bed, wincing at the sting of cold wood on bare feet. But you never ignored weird noises when you lived in a waystation that housed injured and displaced magical creatures. That was a good way to die. Psst, Tala. She shook the bed with one hand and felt underneath it with the other. The pixie shot straight up into the air and hovered like a sugar-rushed glowfly, hands in karate chop position. What? Who? What's going on? Come on, we need to check outside. Weird energy flare. She jammed on her ragged pink bunnies and headed for the back door. Outside, the air was crackling with energy. Lexi trotted down the porch stairs and onto the wide swath of gravel that led across the backyard to the barn. Glancing up, she could see a million sparkling lights far up in the sky, but she knew they weren't stars. Her heart quickened with excitement. The dimension cloud is activated. Were we expecting a traveler tonight? Usually, travelers moved between the 5 realms during the day. Did we lose sound again? Can anybody hear me? Okay, sorry. I thought somebody didn't have sound. Okay, I'm going to start here. Usually, travelers moved between the 5 realms during the day, but maybe someone had discovered an injured creature that needed help. After all, that was a traveler's main objective, and had been for over 100 years: navigate, explore, and help. She looked all around the sky for anything out of the ordinary: a parachute, a ladder stretching down from the sky, a ship. A traveler's passport could change into anything to safely transport passengers between realms, but there was nothing that she could see in the shallow light. And then the sparkles faded. So did the energy. The night sky came back into view. "If your mother catches us out here, she's going to be mad," Tala said gleefully, flying spirals and loops around Lexi's head. Pixies were creatures of magic, and the charged air made her friend giddy. Strictly speaking, Lexi wasn't supposed to be outside near midnight. If magic sparked this late, she should have run for Mom or Wyatt. Midnight was a tween time. Magic got weird. Once, the sky had rained acid drops for a whole hour, leaving Dad with a scar on his chin. It irked her that they still treated her like a little kid, though. She was turning 12 years old in 2 weeks, for crying out loud, and about to become an apprentice caretaker. She would be learning healing magic from her mom, and would be responsible for helping all the visitors to Fenhallow. She had skills, so she ignored Tala's comment and headed for the barnyard. But before she made it halfway, the crackling energy flared up again, and the dimension cloud burst back into view. The air snapped with static. A howling wind twisted through the yard, rustling grass and bending trees. A burst of light. Noise like a cat's claws on fabric. A stuttering line appeared in the sky. Something was tearing a hole in the dimension cloud. Lexi threw up an arm to shield her eyes from the glow, but not before she saw something fall towards the ground. "Incoming!" Tala shouted. "Tala, go get help!" "On it!" The pixie winked out of sight, teleporting to anyone who might be on duty in the infirmary. The rift in the dimension cloud yawned wider, its edges curling and sparkling like burning parchment. For a heartbeat, Lexi thought it was empty. But then, something moved. A swirl of black mist gathered at the tear's edge, darker than night, a single burning green gold eye hovering within. The mist curled and flickered, as if it were struggling to take shape, but couldn't. Lexi froze as something slithered through her mind, cold and alien, peeling back thoughts like turning pages. A voice like shattered glass scraped across her skull. "What is this I see in you?" Lexi didn't move, couldn't speak. The eye just watched her. And then the rift began to shrink, curling in on itself until it vanished like it had never been there. She blinked. It was gone. The tear, the wind, the dimension cloud, the regular stars and half moons sparkled down at her as if nothing had ever happened. But the bellow of pain, the shaking of the ground as whatever it was made impact too hard, too fast, made it all too real. Lexi bolted the rest of the way to the barn, stumbling to her knees as she rounded the corner to the main yard. Adrenaline had her on her feet and racing forward. A Braxis bear! She recognized the blue whorls on the fur. But how in all the realms? "Mother!" she yelled for the only person she knew who could fix this. It wasn't moving. "Oh, flea snap, is it dead?" Lights flooded the area, blinding her momentarily as several glowing orbs circled the yard. Tala zipped from the back of the house, leading the charge. "Lexi, get back!" Mom sprinted towards the fallen bear, pulling a brown leather satchel over her head and one arm as she ran. 2 blue-skinned Rushkin men and a boy in baseball pajamas followed behind. Several feet from the bear, Mom paused, one hand raised to stop the others. "Go slowly. He may be injured past reason." Lexi remembered what her dad had said about the apex predator of the Braxia realm. Gentle giants, he called them, rulers of a wild land and keepers of the peace. But a Braxis bear in a temper, or injured beyond reason, there were few things more dangerous. Lexi wanted to help, to be useful and ready like Mom, but she stumbled to a halt and let the grown-ups take the lead. The bear lay on his side, facing away from them. She'd never seen one before, and despite the emergency, she marveled at the size of him. Even lying down, he was almost as tall as her mom, full of muscles, covered in steel gray fur, trembling with every labored rise and fall of his ribs. How did he get here? Who did he travel with? The boy in baseball pajamas stopped beside Lexi, eyes as big as saucers, her older brother, Wyatt. "I don't know," she muttered. It was the truth. Was it the hooded figure? Had he opened the rift? That would mean he was a traveler, but no traveler worth his salt would hurt a creature on purpose. Sore? Mom inched closer, using the Braxian honorific. Sore, can you hear me? Lexi gasped as the bear heaved upwards, throwing a front paw out to catch himself up on one elbow. When he spoke, his voice was gravelly and exhausted. Lady Caretaker, my name is Rumble. I've returned your traveler. Painfully, he moved his other leg back to reveal a person cradled in his grasp. Dad? Lexi took an involuntary step forward, her breath hitching. Hope flared painfully in her chest. Could it be? She sidestepped around to where her mother stood, stricken, one hand covering her mouth. Curled up in the Braxis bear's forelegs was a woman with a head full of short blonde curls and a brown leather vest over her ripped and bloody white shirt. She moaned, half conscious, one hand covering a bloody cut over her eye. Aunt Imogene! Disappointment warred with fear for her favorite aunt. Oh, no, is she okay? What happened? Aunt Imogene is assigned to Tinswift, Wyatt said from behind her. So what was she doing in Braxia? Mom gestured to the Rushkins. Cave and Rock, please get her to the infirmary. The blue-skinned men darted forward and took the half-unconscious woman by the arms. The sight of her favorite aunt, usually so cheerful and energetic, now bloody and barely conscious, made Lexi's eyes burn, and her hands itched to do something helpful. Rock, she called out, be careful. Rock paused and nodded at her, his dark eyes serious and gentle. On my honor, we will treat her like our own sister. Lexi nodded back, tears escaping as she tried to blink them back. The Rushkins helped Imogene to her feet and walked away towards the house, leaving Mom to deal with the injured bear. Lexi felt the weight of Wyatt's hand on her shoulder and heard his whisper that everything would be okay. So Rumble. Mom was calm, her hand steady as she rummaged through her satchel. What happened? Ambushed, Rumble said, moaning in pain as he slumped back down. By what? Don't know. Didn't see. Ice trickled down Lexi's back. There weren't many things that could surprise a Braxis bear. Mom unstoppered a blue clay bottle and held it out to Rumble's nose. May I? He sniffed and grimaced, the delicate skin on his black muzzle wrinkling. Do what you must. She whispered an incantation, one that Lexi recognized. Gracious potion, give me sight, insight into injured pain. Show me where the hurt begins to help my friend be well again. With a flick of her wrist, her mother sprayed the contents of the bottle out over the bear. A shimmering yellow cloud floated down to cover him. What is it? Wyatt whispered. A healing potion. Kind of an x-ray spell to find his injuries quickly, Lexi said. She couldn't see what her mom was staring at, where the injuries were inside the great bear. Only a caretaker could use that kind of healing magic. Just 3 more weeks and she would be the one helping fallen travelers and broken creatures. Mom shook her head. Bones on the left side are crushed, she mumbled. He sacrificed himself to save her. She rummaged in her bag again, this time pulling out a smaller bottle, black with a spray nozzle. She spoke 3 quick words, an incantation in a language Lexi didn't recognize, then crouched by the great bear's head. So fast Lexi almost didn't see, Mom squirted whatever was in the bottle right up his left nostril and leapt back out of the way. Rumble stretched his neck out, bellowing, writhing. He shimmered, almost fading from existence, his thick gray fur rolling and shifting like something was burrowing below his skin. Then, just as quickly, it was over. He shimmered back, his roiling fur calmed. He took a breath and exhaled deeply. Mom moved forward once more to crouch by Rumble's head. I'm sorry. I know that was uncomfortable. I had to use an accelerating potion to fix your broken bones. Yes, I understand. He shifted uncomfortably. Still, your organs have injuries, Sore, that will require time and potions to heal. Because we accelerated the bone healing, your body is too taxed to heal them quickly. I'm afraid the easiest way is to go about this is with a hibernation. Do what you must. I am grateful for your help. Rumble's words hitched painfully. Is there a cool place I can rest? We have a hibernation chamber. Can you stand now? Rumble heaved himself to his feet, stumbling on unsteady legs before catching himself and rising to his full height. Lexi's eyes grew wide. He was easily taller than a Clydesdale, wider than a rhino. It's a good thing he can walk. However would we move him? 3 deep, bloody welts ran the length of his side. This way. Lexi noticed something on the ground where he'd lain. It was a large bean, shaped like a kidney, green and white, with two blue stripes. Gasping, she snatched it up. Nope, not losing this. Magic pulsed within it, the blue stripes glowing with the ebb and flow like a heartbeat. She shoved it in her pocket for safekeeping before following Mom as she walked with the bear, one hand on his shoulder as he swayed. Did she think she could catch him if he fell? Around the side of the barn was a purple arched double doorway. Mom removed the thick wooden beam that barred the way and pulled the doors open. A blast of chilly air puffed out in a frosty cloud. Rumble sneezed as the cold swirled around his face and then limped through the doorway. Lexi tried to follow, but Mom put out a hand to block her. I don't want you in here. Rumble needs to help to sleep and heal now. But maybe he knows where Dad is. I said go. She tried to push past. But Alexa, now. Lexi rarely responded well to her mother using her full name, but the tremble in Mom's voice, the way it cracked at the end, made her pause. Mom looked at her son. Wyatt, please. Wyatt laid a hand on Lexi's arm. Come on, Lex. It's late. We need sleep and Mom needs to work. It was on the tip of her tongue to lash out, to tell Wyatt to stop being such a goody-goody, but she knew he was right. Rumble needed help, and Mom had that closed expression that meant no one would win an argument with her. So she took a deep breath and gave up. Wyatt led the way back to the house. She glanced back up at the stars, half expecting to see that eye again. But there was nothing, just silence that felt too still, like the world was holding its breath. She and Tala went back to bed, the pixie out like a light almost as soon as her tiny head hit the pillow. It was a long time before Lexi slept, though. Her mind raced with everything that had happened. One thought spoke louder in her mind than all the others. What in all the realms could hurt a bear? And that's the end of chapter 1. So I hope you enjoyed that. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. I'll be back tomorrow night at 7 o'clock, and we're not going to have audio issues tomorrow to read chapter 2. And yeah. Thank you for being here. You know, I appreciate you guys so much. I love that you like the story, and I love sharing it with you. Yeah. If you have any questions, or if you want to go and subscribe and for my email list so that you get updates about all the books, because there are more books coming after this. It's a series. You can go to tldemmons.com, or you can contact me there if you have any questions. You can just email me from there. But I guess I will say goodnight, and I will see you guys tomorrow. I'll share the link down below, but I'll also share the link in all the social media things tomorrow for the second live reading tomorrow. All right, I guess I'm gonna say good night, and I will see you guys tomorrow. Have a good night.